She's outspoken. She's not afraid to ask tough questions. She's not afraid to speak her mind. You've read her column. Maybe you're a fan on Facebook. No topic is off limits. Straight to the point. There's no chaser. You're now watching Straight Talk with Carla Zuill.
Welcome to another edition of Straight Talk. I'm your host, Carla Zuill. Now with us in studio today, we have Mr. Chris Crumpler, Executive Director of Team Street Safe in Bermuda. Welcome.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Now, Mr. Crumpler, you have a very important yet quiet job on the island.
Yeah.
As the Executive Director, what exactly does your job encompass?
Basically, I was kind of mandated to address the gang issue in a way that reduces the violent aspect of it. And so I came on May 1st last year, and a team and partners to basically not just do the talking bit, not to have like just a discussion forum, but to engage and then empower, to get them into services, to get them into education, to get them into counseling, to get them into employment opportunities. And so we kind of do our best with what we have to engage that population and then engage them in service and monitor their progress.
How many gang members, if you could put a number on it, are in Bermuda?
I don't know, man. I'm maybe sketchy about the whole gang member bit. Unfortunately, in Bermuda, being so tight, it's a punitive society, you get labeled just by affiliation. And so a lot of people get caught up in the trap. You know, it's not that they purposely want to be involved in a gang. It just, they grew up playing football with guys in the neighborhood. It evolves into something being violent, and then because of that, because of their loyalty, they have to respond, and now they're labeled by the community. Now it's blown up in the press, and then they all of a sudden have to live up to this expectation. And so we're just trying to do our bit by intervening and giving them services. So the number, I mean, anybody could argue from 70 to 200, you know what I mean? But at the level of saying they're a gang member, that's for me, it really gets dicey with the whole term, because how people identify themselves with that gang word, how they perceive that to be true for them, is the problem that I have in dealing with the population.
Now, we saw a proliferation of shootings in 2009, 10. You came on board in 2013. Why do you think it was that gap of time span between all of this happening and then bringing this to reality, Street Safe?
I think everybody was playing a part in trying to do something. And there was a lot of things that was put out there. There was a lot of things that was tried. There was a lot of things that was trying to help the population in different facets, whether it be government, non-government, just personal churches, whatever. But I was asked to come in early last year after the double homicide, and they asked me what would I need, and I told them it would be an injustice for me to do this part-time to this population, that we have to be fully invested in the process of change, and that I'm going to have to fully invest my life and my career in doing it. It cannot be something I'm doing additional to other things that I'm trying to do. And so that was the agreement, and May 1st last year I started.
Now, has it been easy doing this work in Bermuda? Bermuda's such a small population, and what I know about Street Safe is that it's non in the spotlight. You're doing work a lot of times behind the scenes, a lot of confidentiality involved. So how hard was it for you or for your organization, because you do have a small team, correct? How difficult or easy is it to do the work in Bermuda?
I mean, it's difficult, period. I mean, it's something that, as an organization, just being a startup, just trying to get rid of myths and stuff people just come up with, never really talking to me, but just saying stuff to just kind of damper our progress. But, you know, I thank God for His grace and His mercy, because it's a lot of stuff that you can't control, but one thing that I can do well is engage in that population, engage in young men, and show them myself. And through that, our team has been able to do a great job of interacting with them and then helping them to move forward for those who want the help.
Now, clearly you're not a Bermudian. Have you had some flack? A man here who's come from outside of the country. I mean, you've been here for a few years and you've done a lot in the community. But how have you had flack from being a non-Bermudian trying to help such a critical Bermudian cause?
Whatever you focus on grows. I don't have time to focus on nonsense. I focus on the work. And I take offense to the whole Bermudian thing personally. My wife's Bermudian, my children Bermudian, the godparents to my children are Bermudian. I'm a godfather to Bermudian children. My church is a Bermuda church. I give back to Bermuda. I have trained over 500 Bermudians in basketball, mentored hundreds of young men and girls in the education system. My heart beats for Bermuda, you know what I mean? Like, my whole professional life has been in Bermuda. My whole adulthood development has been in Bermuda. So to say because of a law, and I represent this country and brought 3 gold medals to the country.
In basketball, right?
In basketball. So to say that I'm not a Bermuda because of the grass that I was born on and not because of the impact that I made, I find it highly offensive because in every country in the world, I would be a citizen, except for Bermuda because they won Bermuda law. And in 2 years, I will be naturalized. And then what? So that whole conversation for me is totally irrelevant.
Now, what about how's your reception been with the young man that you're trying to help?
Oh, great, powerful, life-changing. What the struggle is that when you're trying to build a legit organization, I have a board, I have bylaws, I have programs, policies, procedures, I have vetting that has to get done, I have accounts that has to be audited, I have all these things that I have to do, but those persons that's involved in that piece, they don't understand the culture of the streets. And so for me, it's looking at a man face to face, getting engaged with them, and then giving him my word that I'm gonna do X, Y, Z. But then once I give my word, I'm going back. I see that we can do certain things, but the checklist has to happen. And so for me, it's trying to be a better understanding and sensitive to making sure that all of our systematic structures are set so that progress is not stopped for the guy on the street, to engage him into services and move him on to where he's trying to go to. And to be limited because this year was a pilot, so we don't have all the answers. We're letting the process be organic. And to engage in the population and try to figure out the answers, but know that your resources are not just all over the place, that you have a limited pool of resources. For some guys, I had them, but we couldn't move forward because of the resources that we didn't have at the time. And so that can be very frustrating because you're dealing with a very sensitive matter. And so to get to a point where you are engaged, but you're not able to provide the resources needed to progress, it's frustrating for both parties. And so now the step is go get the resources.
So is your organization governmental or is it autonomous?
We're a nonprofit organization. We're in the process of getting our charity status, and we have a fully functioning board. We're getting ready for our strategic planning conference. This month we'll be launching our pledge campaigns very soon, once all of our ducks in a row. And so, yeah, we're a nonprofit organization.
Okay. Now we're going to take a break, but when we get back, we're going to talk to Mr. Crumpler about the ins and outs. Who are these young men? Are they just black men? We'll have more when we return. Okay, so we're just talking. And then we're just talking. All right, cool. So
to say now, because you're 25, because you're 30, because you had sex and from that you had a baby, be a father. Be a father with what?
Right.
You're broken yourself.
More straight talk after these messages.